welcome back to our channel, Two Peas in a Crime Pod. This is my mama Kelly. She does all the heavy lifting around here. She does all the work. Case planning and picking and researching and post-production, all of it.
This is my daughter, Courtney, and she comes in and she is just hearing everything for the first time, just like you guys. So she comments live and she has lots of great things to say, and we love her. She's the life of the podcast.
That's me, life of the podcast.
So thank you so much for watching. We hope you'll consider subscribing and getting notifications. And if you can like what you see, then give us a like and leave us a comment.
Thumbs up.
We have got so many new subscribers.
Yes.
We just want to say thank you to you all from like 6 different countries. I looked on there. We had Finland.
Really?
Oh, I can't remember now, but Indonesia. We had United Kingdom, Australia. Yeah, and then we have India and United States and Canada.
Yeah, India's still in the lead, and the U.S. is in second. And yeah, but we're so excited. Thank you guys for subscribing.
We have this audience, and we're so grateful for you, and we hope that we continue to give you a good program that you will continue watching.
Yeah, we never thought it would be so far-reaching.
Yeah.
Or at least not so soon.
It's incredible.
It would be so far-reaching. Yeah, it's really awesome. So yeah, interact. Leave us a comment. We'll comment back, and it's just exciting. We're glad you guys are liking it. So I am excited to hear about today's case because I always type in. I'm like, all right, what am I naming this one? And she said, oh, this one is episode 23.1. And I said, oh, how many parts is it? 3-parter.
It's a 3-parter.
So our last 3-parter was very good. It was
Jeffrey McDonald
family.
Curran.
Yes. Which led me to watch that movie. They made a
Fatal Vision.
Fatal Vision a long time ago, and
excellent movie.
Yeah.
Really covered the case very well.
Yeah, a young Gary Cole was very good.
Really made him look as ridiculous as he is.
Yes, he did a great job portraying the husband in this case. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then that got me on the kick of watching all those old, like, made-for-TV.
Right.
I'm still watching them every night now. So. But yeah, the last 3-parter was very interesting. So I'm excited to see what you have in store for me this time.
I'm excited too. It's going to be good. But I'm not sure that... Well, I think you've heard about it. I know you've heard about it, but I don't know if you know the details. Are we ready to begin?
Yeah, all I wanted to say before we really start is that this is my mom's sweater, and I thought I would be warm enough to wear a short sleeve shirt today, and I'm not. I'm freezing. So I'm just...
My house...
And my mom's... Her house is set to menopause on the thermostat, and it's freezing in here.
It's freezing for everybody. My poor dog is constantly shivering.
She is.
We have a little electric fireplace that's just like an electric heater that looks like a fire, and she sits in front of that, just soaking up as much of that heat as she can. Yes. Or burrowing under covers if she can.
Yeah, the last time we came up during the podcast, she was like on the chair, but completely underneath the pile of
and her
covers,
little tail was hanging out.
Wagging.
And we said, Clover, what are you doing? Wag, 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 wag.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cold in here.
Yeah. I forgot to dress for the menopause.
Let me tell you something about menopause. Today, for me, is Wednesday shave day. And basically, you've heard of No Shave November for men.
Yes.
Well, when you're menopausal, you have Wednesday shave day because you don't get a 5 o'clock shadow, but once a week, it grows out about 1/4 of an inch on your chin. So you've got to shave your beard. And that's what I do. I shave on Wednesdays because I want to look my best for the podcast. So it's so much fun, but that's because you're losing estrogen. And so now you're turning into a man.
Right. Scientifically, yes. I can't wait.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely cannot wait.
It is terrible. It is not fun.
You were like Wednesday shave day, and I was thinking like, you're not special, bitch. I only shave once a week too. Wintertime, I don't care.
No, and
But I get
it
it.
started.
It's the face. That's the one area of my body that I don't have to worry about yet, apparently.
It started like maybe 5 or 6 years ago with one hair.
Yes, I have the one. I do get the one right here.
And you can just pluck it.
Yeah. And I'll know because I'll touch my face and I'll be like, there you
Oh,
are,
there it
you
is.
coarse little mother.
Yes.
Yes.
And then it progresses and you start getting more. And then pretty soon you just have to shave. You have,
Right.
yeah. It's so much fun being a man.
I already live like the rest of my life like I'm a man, basically. So
You might as well grow a beard.
Fucking facial hair. Maybe I'd be warmer.
There you go. Oh, wait till menopause hits. You'll be warm. It'll be the only time in your life.
When I was pregnant, I would get really warm, but it wasn't I was like, oh my God, is this what it feels like to be warm? This is nice. I'm not cold. It was more like any other situation where I would have needed a jacket.
Yes.
I was finally like, I'm comfortable. I'm not missing that I don't have a hoodie and a coat on right now. This is nice.
I believe that happened to me as well, come to think of it. Well, it did, because when Clay, I was 9 months pregnant with him, so it was like the beginning of June. I wasn't quite 9 months. I was 8 months, because he was born
8 months in June, because he was born the first week of July.
We went to Turkey Foot in Grandma's boat, and the water was freezing. It hadn't warmed up yet. Okay. And everybody was freezing, but I was in that water with the big old pregnant belly. And then it didn't occur to me how hard it would be to get my foot up on the ladder. It was like only a two-step ladder.
Yes, right. You have to...
And get out of the water.
You're in like a crouch position to get up out of the water. Oh, yeah.
Everybody had to tug me. Yeah, it was pretty humiliating. But totally worth it. I felt so cool in the water and light, because you're weightless in the water. Yeah. So it was nice. But
I feel like I remember that trip too.
We've got pictures of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like 5.
Yep.
All right. Well.
Shall we begin?
We shall.
I'm excited for this case because it's about somebody that I love and somebody that I respect, and as a person and an artist. So, shall we? You ready to find out the unveiling?
Yes, Lisa.
Okay. I'm not even saying that anymore because
I was doing good with it, and then you stopped.
I know. I just felt like it was kind of dumb. Like, shall we begin? Yes, Lisa.
I think I ruined it for
nobody will know what we're talking about. The Prince song, Computer Blue. It begins like that. So never mind. Oh, nice one.
Coffee. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a special amount of people that would know. They would appreciate it. Those are the real ones. Hey, Clover.
See, so we took the tree down, and now the chair's back in front of the window where the tree was. So now she can see my Amazon delivery guy and all the creepy people that walk around my neighborhood. And now she's just going to be barking incessantly. But I'm going to use my noise reducer, and I don't think we're going to hear her.
She won't shut up. Clover, give it a rest.
All right. Well, viewer discretion. Today we are talking about homicide in the form of shooting.
Gun
violence.
Murder.
Yes, the murder of, drumroll, John Lennon.
Okay. All right, this is a good one.
I don't know about you. I don't know how you feel about him. I didn't listen to him much when you were young. I did have the last release CD of his and listened to that quite a bit with watching the wheels go round.
Yeah, I remember we listened to that CD a lot.
Okay.
Yes. I like John Lennon. I think his music was wonderful, and he was very creative. Um, I know that he was shot outside of his brownstone, and I've been to that brownstone in New York when I went on my senior trip with Liz. We went, and I've been
You're
there.
kidding. You've been there? I am
Yes.
jealous.
I have pictures of it.
Did you go to Strawberry Fields?
Remind me, I'll send you the pictures. You can.
Yeah, please do.
Yes, I went to Strawberry Fields. Yes, I've got pictures of the Imagine.
We were in New York and did not do any of that.
Oh, yeah, we made sure to go up there. And
You did the important things. We went to the Empire State Building.
Well, we did that too.
Yeah.
I think we took I think it was like a 3-day trip. So we tried to squeeze in as much as we could. But yeah, we went. That day we rode the subway all the way from like Battery Park all the way up to Central Park.
Okay.
So, and then we, like walked back down to.
So you ran the gauntlet.
Yeah. So
okay.
We rode a long subway ride.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really interesting to see where it happened. And now I'm foggy on details, but I know that I do know some of the details, but they're foggy. Like I know that I know the guy's name that did it, but it's not coming to me right now. Like as soon as you say it, I'm gonna be like, yes, that's his name.
Because he wanted fame, and that's the only reason he did it. And I'm glad you don't know his name. Ha ha. That's what you get.
Yeah, nobody knows. I forgot your name because you're not important. Yeah, that was why I forgot.
Good.
To stick it to the men.
That's right.
I do feel like I heard like some conspiracies or some shit like that too, but I don't know that I know much about it.
Okay.
And what was it? The Michael Jackson one. My friend Stephanie commented, and she was like, "Courtney, I know how much you love music and how much you know about music, and I am ashamed at you for not knowing more about Michael Jackson and for thinking that Randy Jackson was his brother."
That's hilarious.
And I told her, I was like, it's amazing.
Your friends.
It's amazing how like I will know so much about like music or movies or something, and then like the one movie that every person has seen, I'll be like, I've never seen that. But I've seen like 2,000 movies, but I've never saw that one that everyone's seen, or like a fact that everyone knows, and I'll just be like, I don't know what their name is. It's like I live under a weird rock that's got tons of like eclectic knowledge, but I miss the big stuff.
You poor thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm always like, every time everybody gets really into something, I'm like, whatever. Not watching that. And then I'll watch it like a decade later and I'll be like, God damn it, that was really good.
I started watching the Andrea Yates documentary.
Oh, I've watched some stuff on her before. I saw that was out. I've seen, again, it must have been like a 48 hours or something on her. But yeah, she just looks fucking dead inside.
Yeah, she does. The documentary I'm watching is really good. It's based on this preacher that brainwashed her into thinking her kids were going to go to hell. So it's kind of a documentary by a guy who also grew up under that guy's religious tutelage, I guess you would call it. Like his mom was a big follower.
Okay.
And he talks about totally understanding why Andrea Yates did what she did, because he could see it because of the brainwashing of this guy.
Yeah, I remember in the one that I watched, it said that there was just a lot of pressure on her, pressure from the husband, pressure, you know what I mean? And if I remember correctly, she kind of had been trying to say like, this is kind of hard, and I would
for
kind
years
of like some help.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, well, this is your job as a woman, and why don't you just pray about it and you're fine.
Her husband was completely oblivious. He was living in his own world.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have a clue.
And not to say that it wasn't still like a tragedy for him, or that like in any way he's like, I don't know. Maybe there's some culpability there, but just kind of ignorant in like the true definition of the word. Just kind of like, well, she's a woman and women have the kids and women raise the kids, and this is what I was brought up around. You know,
I'm doing my part.
Yeah, like not I wouldn't equate him to like your typical like narcissistic abuser or
Oh, no.
like
I'm not saying that.
yeah, no, but just kind of
He just thought he had to go to work, and I don't think he knew what to do with her or about her at all. He didn't have a clue about her depression,
he didn't
postpartum
understand
psychosis.
emotional health, mental health.
He just kept going to work and doing his job,
yeah.
and but he didn't know what to do. He was clueless.
No, she just like she really just started looking like she had had a lobotomy, Like she just
Yes.
was like just like so blank all the time.
Yes, completely
You
no
know?
affect.
Yeah, just something was wrong there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a sad story. I'm mad at what she did, and it's disgusting, terrible, but I feel like it was avoidable
It was. I mean,
with proper resources, mental health treatment. And I don't care.
she just needed help.
You
She
know how
had
I feel about
5
religion.
kids.
Like but I'm not gonna knock it. Like if your faith is part of it, like balance that in there too. But after you have a baby, your hormones are out of whack. After you have 5 babies, they're your body's been through a lot. Your whole system's been through a lot, and then physically in the here and now,
You're
going
trying to
through
keep
a
up.
lot. Yeah, it's never ending.
It's
Laundry
one
doesn't
step forward, 2 steps back.
laundry doesn't stop.
Diapers don't stop.
Diapers don't stop.
Feedings don't stop.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's just you have no you anymore. You are a mother.
That's the only identity you have
And
anymore.
then if you have to do other things on top of that,
yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult.
So that's a wild story. That one is.
That's our
too.
sidewinder.
There's our sidewinder for today. Another true crime case. But
Let's talk about
are here to talk about the murder of John Lennon.
what the hell is that? The murder.
Don't you? It's murder.
Okay.
There's been a murder in Savannah.
What is that from?
Mom, it's from The Office.
See,
When they play Belle's.
I am not The
Bourbon
Office. I don't know things like you and Marissa.
Oh, she doesn't know The Office.
I
like
love
me.
The Office. Love every episode, but I don't have it memorized like word for word and episode by episode. These
Even
guys,
Clay, Marissa, my brother and my sister-in-law, we like I can say like one word.
murder.
And they'll be like, "Oh, from season 6, episode 4." I'm like, "Yeah, they know." Like, no, there's been actually.
It's an actual thing. Like, you know how guys that collect baseball cards and they know like who pitched in 1968 World Series.
Yeah, that's their little autistic niche. And ours is
The Office.
Office and any movie or any song lyric.
All right. Well, there has been a murder in New York
Has been
City.
a murder.
So
There's been a lot of murder and a lot of intrigue.
December 8th, 1980. It was a cold evening. John Lennon, the former Beatle activist and poet, was gunned down outside his home in New York City. This is the story of how and why John Lennon was murdered, who killed him, and how obsession, mental illness, and a desperate craving for significance converged into one of the most shocking crimes of the 20th century.
Without knowing much about this, I think I feel comfortable saying that like the true crime was when Yoko came and broke up the band.
She is definitely a Beatles. I'm a John Lennon, so I'm all for Yoko.
No, I love the Beatles. They had.
There's a clear divide there. People are like, they hate Yoko and they think that she broke up the band. She didn't. John needed her. John needed her. He was falling down a dark rabbit hole and he was about ready to die, and she saved his life and she gave him what he needed, which was to get out of that and do his own thing. And he became a happy person. And
Why were the Beatles making him unhappy? And you're going to say,
because
Paul McCartney. How did I know you were going to just blame it on Paul? Okay.
Fucking Paul. I'm sorry. Wait till you find out what he said. Ugh. Fucking Paul. Okay.
Fuck you, Sir Paul.
All right, let's talk about Mr. John Lennon.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't care. I love John. I love Paul. I love Ringo. And then that other one, George Harrison. It took me a second. It wasn't on the tip of my tongue. It was there. I love them all. They've all done great solo stuff. I loved them when they were together. I love what they did to music, what they did to the world. I love it all. I love John's solo stuff. I love his Imagine. You know I played Imagine on the piano and sang it. It's a beautiful song. I think that he was incredibly talented.
If you want to see Muffin, that's what I call her, singing Imagine while playing piano at one of our Cremapalooza shows, go to Ms. Blues Chick. It's
just share the link.
MIZBLOOZCHIK on YouTube. That's my channel handle. And look up Cremapalooza Courtney Imagine.
How about I'll leave a comment with a link to that video if
I could
cares.
link it in the comments.
Yeah. That way you don't have to.
It's beautiful.
Do the work. I know you don't want to do the work, so we'll make it easy. But
okay.
But anyways, I do love that song. But I love Wings, and I love Paul McCartney stuff. And my favorite Christmas song is Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. And Mom's like, I hate that fucking song, and I'm like, well, I hate you. So, okay,
Paul
what does that
McCartney
do for the greater
bobblehead.
good? There wouldn't be the Beatles.
I know.
Therefore, there wouldn't be John Lennon's shoot into fame.
I appreciate the writing and the genius. I do not like the man.
Fair enough.
He wasn't about John Lennon. He was about the Beatles.
Well, and he was about himself, as all great musicians are. They're usually a little fucking self-interested, you know? Yeah, but...
This is true.
You know, game, respect, game. He knew what he was doing.
And I am not a huge Yoko Ono fan, per se. Like, her music is like cats screeching while monkeys are playing a drum set badly.
It's true.
I don't get it, but John got it, and he supported her. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the love and the way that his life turned around 360 degrees or 180 degrees, because 360 would just be right back where he started. So it went from this way to that way. And why are you laughing at me?
Just because I was like, yes, that is how a circle works.
So that's what I appreciate about Yoko is she was there for John and she gave him what he needed. And I feel that John is a true genius, even though he's not as talented as Mr. Sir McCartney.
I wouldn't say that you can measure talent as...
I shouldn't say talented. What I should say is McCartney had the precision. John didn't have the music education that McCartney had. Yeah. So he wasn't as musically...
Paul was musically well-read, where John had like musical street smarts and
that
creativity.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's the way it...
Yeah.
It is.
I think that's fair to say, but I think that you need both, and I think there's a place for both. I think that's what makes art so awesome is that you can't be bad at it. There's no wrong way.
You know what's hilarious? Paul McCartney did the video, and I love this song, Hey, Say, with Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney.
Yes.
And they did this duet in the 80s. And this was after the death of John Lennon. And it was a great song, did well, great video. And then a couple years later, Michael Jackson bought Sony I think it was ATV, which had all of the publishing for the Beatles. And that pissed off Paul McCartney so bad. You know,
Yes.
He hated that he didn't own his own publishing, number one, but that Michael Jackson owned it.
Yes.
So,
and
he bought it for like $47 million.
It's
Paul
wild.
just didn't have it. He was a Beatle and they were rich, but, he couldn't afford to buy it himself.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson was the true king of pop and he had the money.
Yes, indeed.
All right,
wait, I want one more sidewinder before we start.
Oh, please do.
In chemistry class, my junior year, sophomore, junior, somewhere in there. Yeah, junior year. Maybe my senior year. Doesn't matter. In high school, I had to take chemistry.
Okay.
I think it was junior. And you measure in moles.
Yes.
For things, what is that? The periodic table are things that are measured in moles or
MOL.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is now. I hated that class. Without extra credit, I would not have done it. It's the only class in my life I ever did not do well in. I just didn't get it. I think I just didn't care. I think that's what it was, but I might do better if I took it now. But anyways,
Makes sense.
One of the extra credit projects was you could get this little template of a mole, like the animal that doesn't have eyes that lives under the ground. And you could cut it out of cut fabric and make little moles and then be creative with it. And you could get extra credit because you measure in moles. And so it's like a little pun. It basically was just a way for the kids that weren't getting it to pass this fucking class. Thank God for this extra credit project. Well, me and Cody, my friend Cody, we were partners and we wanted to do the Beatles, but moles.
Oh my gosh.
The band. And so I was going to his house and we were cutting out little cardboard instruments and we did Paul McCartney's right-handed guitar and a drum, and he did a drum set because Cody played drums. And so he made a little drum set for Ringo, and then we had to sew the little mole creatures, and then we made them little suits so that they looked like the Beatles with little floppy wigs.
Nice.
And then we made a fifth one.
This is epic.
We made a fifth one, and we put a weird hippie-looking dress on it. And then Cody made this little sign that said, "I'm Yoko and I'm here to break up the band." And that was our project. And we got an A on it.
Yeah, I bet the teacher absolutely loved it.
Some people really go, ours was not even that great compared to some of these kids because their fucking moms were probably making it for them. But Lizzle did, she had this little box that looked like the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo. And she made a werewolf mole, a Dracula mole, a mummy mole, and she put them all inside so everybody came up with their own ideas. So it was fun, but
it is fun.
We did the Beatles. Yes. So
nice.
Somewhere, I don't know who has those. If he had them, I know I don't.
Yeah, that should have been saved.
Because I save everything. So it seems like maybe he kept
art.
It. Yeah, but it was funny. All right. So.
Well, as an aside to your aside, as far as chemistry goes, in my chemistry class in college, organic chemistry, I loved it, was excellent at it, understood it like ABCs. They had a study night at Panera Bread at our college. Mm-hmm. It was right down the street. And our chemistry teacher made herself available once a week for everybody because nobody was going to pass that class. And this one guy, David, says, "Where's Kelly? She never comes to this." And the teacher said that's because she has an A+ in our class. And he actually asked me to tutor him, and I did, and he passed.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
So I did so well in chemistry. I am very book puzzle oriented. I love puzzles, and chemistry is like a puzzle, and the equations are puzzle-like.
And I'm good at math, and I love
it was
equations.
fun to me. It was fun to me.
But I don't know. I don't think it was honestly the class. I think it was me. I think I had just given up at that point and was like fucking over school and just over all of it.
Okay.
And over being like awake at all. And so I just was like, I am not trying to expand my mind on this shit. But there was like the periodic table. I had no problem memorizing the periodic table and things like that. And the equations weren't hard, but there were certain parts of that class that just weren't clicking. And I was like, our teacher was kind of goofy. She was sweet.
It's normal. It doesn't click for many people.
Yeah.
Like all of our class was
just failing. Yeah.
And, I'm getting A+. I've actually got more than 100% because I would do the bonus shit too that she would do for the other people and totally wreck the curve then because I would get A's on that as well. But
everybody was like, this bitch.
Yeah. No, this David guy, he was hilarious because I just loved him. He was absolutely fucking hilarious. He's in class and the teacher's going, so she asks him a question and she's like, so what's the exponent on that? And she puts her finger up like this and she's going like this. And the answer was 1. And he was just losing his mind. She stayed on him and she wouldn't let it just go. Like,
yeah.
Okay, you don't know the answer. I think she was embarrassing him. He's like my age. So I went to college when I was 40. So He's like my age and maybe a little older. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Are you doing red rum? He's like, is this red rum? From that moment on, I love David. Yes. And then he asked me to tutor him, and I found out about him, and here he's a musician, and he's like the music minister of his church, and he plays guitar, and he starts taking lessons from Chris, and we start going to his house and having, concerts. And it was a lot of fun. His wife, not so much. She hated us. I think she hated me, and we just broke ties.
That sucks. But hate a sucky wife.
I was so good in school. I was on the dean's list every semester. I loved school. Nursing. There's a thing about book smarts and street smarts. I am a book smart person. When it came to street smarts, can I just tell you 2 stories about my nursing clinicals?
You are without a street smart.
When we had to go do clinicals at the hospitals or nursing homes. So I injured an elderly man. He was about 90. I yanked his penis too hard when I was giving him a sponge bath. This is me. I had never seen an uncircumcised penis. And I just assumed that when you pull down to clean, that it pulled down. And his didn't. Like, the skin was too tight around it. So I tried to pull it down. It goes, ah! I was so mortified that I just felt so bad for this man. Here I am, this big, I'm like 260 pounds of nurse. Nurse Kelly.
Just a penis ripper.
It was terrible. I was just like, I'm never going to be a nurse. I just wanted to help people. Just wanted to take care of them and have them not be afraid of me.
Well, where was the head? Did you ever find it?
No, the skin wouldn't go down over it. The skin was too tight. It just didn't. So, yeah.
Is it supposed to?
It is supposed to, I think, but I guess everybody is made different. And I should have just assumed, I should not have assumed that his foreskin would come down. It didn't. So then I almost killed a man. This is another man. I'm a man killer, apparently.
Yes.
I'm taking his vitals and charting. That's what we had to do it for clinicals, is just go to the patients and take their vitals and chart. And that was what we were doing that day. And I'm taking his vitals, and his oxygen level went down to 73.
Oh, that's not good.
No, he's going to die.
Dangerously. Yes, yeah.
And I'm like checking him, and I immediately buzz for the real nurse to come in. And she comes in, I'm like, his oxygen is down at 73. And she was like, you're standing on his oxygen tubes. So, first of all, why are the tubes hanging low enough that I can stand on them? Shouldn't that be like a gross...
First of all, why aren't you aware of what you're standing on?
I don't know. I just don't assume... I just didn't look. I don't assume that important, vital, life-giving tubes are going to be on the floor.
Everything hangs and droops.
Well, I almost killed this man.
Could you feel it under your foot?
No.
Like, oh, I'm standing on something.
They're just little air tubes.
I know they are, but I can feel if I'm standing on a fucking...
No, I didn't feel it at all. Okay. I'm just big old monster Nurse Kelly, man killer.
I just thought like you were like...
penis ripper.
Checking his vitals, like you put like the blood pressure cuff around his neck. You're like, all right, let's see here.
I can take a good blood pressure.
I know. Yes, you can.
Oh my gosh.
You taught me how to do it. It's been one of the most helpful things I've ever learned. I don't know why they don't teach everybody.
Yeah, everybody can do it.
Pressure.
It's not something hard to do.
Yeah.
But I am not a nurse. I am an Uber driver.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows.
And as far as I know, she hasn't tried to rip anybody's dick off in the Uber. Dick ripper. Oh, okay.
I am going to continue.
Can we talk about John Lennon getting shot now?
Let's do. All right. John Lennon, he was born October 9th, 1940 in Liverpool, which is in England. His middle name is Winston. I never knew that.
Jonathan Winston.
John Winston Lennon. He was born during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And that particular city, Liverpool, was under bombardment. So the beginning of his life, or from the beginning, his life was marked by absence, displacement, and emotional fracture. His parents' marriage, by the time he was born, was already collapsing. And his father's name was Alfred Lennon. He was a merchant seaman who was also gone for long stretches.
Okay.
And then his mother, her name was Julia Lennon, and she was very charismatic and musical, and unconventional. And John adored her. He adored her.
I can see that.
But neither parent was fully present in his life. And when John was still a toddler, his father just disappeared almost entirely. And then Julia was unable or unwilling to conform to the expectations of motherhood at that time, lost custody of him. Did you know that?
Wow, no.
Yeah. So he went to live with Aunt Mimi. That was his mother's sister, and her name was Mimi Smith. And he lived with her and her husband, whose name was George. And they lived in a tidy middle-class home that was very different from Julia's freer world. She was kind of like your hippie type, but in the 40s.
Like kind of a free spirit.
Yes.
Which was,
that was very rare.
Yeah.
For that time, that age. And she was seen as a misfit.
Not proper. Yes.
Not proper, yeah.
Maybe it wasn't rare, but it wasn't considered proper. Yes.
Right. So Mimi was strict and conservative and very emotionally reserved. She probably wasn't a big hugger.
Yeah.
She valued respectability and order, and she disapproved of popular music. She loved John, but didn't understand him. And her most famous line to him that he says, Aunt Mimi used to always say, "The guitar's all right, John, but you'll never make a living out of it."
Oh, eat your words. words.
So he internalized this as a wound and a challenge.
Yes.
He took it both ways. But this tension, this wanting approval while rebelling against it, became central to who he was as a person. So Julia Lennon, his mother, she was the parent he adored, as I said, and he lost her twice. She didn't raise him, but she remained emotionally important because she was warm, playful, and musical. I mean, she had all these characteristics that a little child would love. She wasn't mature enough or grounded enough. I shouldn't say mature, but grounded enough to be able to mother him properly. But she was still a fun person. She'd have been like the fun older sister.
Yeah.
And she taught John how to play guitar. She taught him banjo chords and folk songs. And she had a sense of humor, and she taught him how to laugh. So with Julia, John felt seen.
Yeah.
And but then in 1958, when John was 17, she was actually struck and killed by a car that was actually driven by an off-duty police officer. So that death devastated John.
Yeah.
And he never fully recovered. And he said, I lost my mother twice. So I can totally feel that.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I had the same kind of a dad, was just like Julia. He was playful and fun and musical and free. And I just wanted to live with him so bad. And I had this dream in my head that every day when I was walking home from school, I felt that when I turned the corner, he would be waiting in his Jeep or whatever he was driving. He had a camper to save me from my mother. And I just wished that so bad. I mean, literally, when I was coming home from school for about a year, I thought he would be there to save me. And that kind of stayed in my head. I just had this childlike dream of my father saving me.
Yeah.
And when I turned 18, it occurred to me that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible loss that, wow, he never did, and he never will be able to. And, he's just not present.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like most children with absentee parents go through that.
They can probably relate, huh?
In some way. Like, I wish they would have been there for this. And maybe like yours was like a hopeful. Some other people's is maybe a little bit more like anger. Like, why aren't they there?
The anger came later for me.
But yeah, I think most people with absentee parents go through that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Well, the loss of his mother fueled his lifelong fear of abandonment. It fueled his rage, and it fueled this deep attachment he had to women who mirrored Julia's strength and unpredictability. Many of his most emotionally raw songs trace back to Julia.
Okay.
So let's talk about how he was as a kid. He was not an easy child, which I wouldn't have thought that because he seemed so mellow. But at school, he was defiant, sarcastic, disruptive, and highly intelligent, but unfocused.
Yeah.
Teachers described him as brilliant one moment and impossible the next.
Okay.
He actually bullied other kids, but he was also bullied himself. So humor to him became a weapon, and so did cruelty. He learned early that if I hurt you first, I won't be hurt.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how he
Coping mechanism.
Coped. Yes.
Yeah.
Eventually, he enrolled at Liverpool College of Art. And this period is very critical. At art school, John developed his sharp wit and absurdist humor. He embraced surrealism, wordplay, and satire while in college, and he learned how to provoke reactions. So this is where he kind of cultivated the sneer, the glasses, the intellectual rebel identity.
Yeah.
And it wasn't accidental, it was actually armor. But music was the one place John felt powerful. He was obsessed with Elvis Presley at the time, Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, and then something called skiffle music. Have you ever heard of the term skiffle?
I don't think so.
I hadn't either. It's a British blend of folk, jazz, and rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. But Elvis and Chuck Berry and all them were people who were like changing the industry.
They were breaking
the rules and,
yes.
and doing things different and you know, letting their own creativity shine. So I think that you can really see that
that influence.
The Beatles, yeah, had that influence.
Definitely.
And saw that, yeah, there were some people who were like, this is the devil's music, but there was an awful lot of people who were like absolutely for it and loved it.
Oh, yeah.
And they capitalized on that.
Definitely.
Idea of selling your, like yourself, like being creative and.
Yes. Well, Julia had bought John his first guitar, and it became like a companion to him. It was a shield, and it was his voice. He wasn't technically perfect, but he was compelling. He had a raw voice, natural rhythm, and a highly magnetic presence, and people really listened when he sang. So his first band was called the Quarrymen. Did you know that?
I feel like I've just heard this the other day when we were playing that game on Christmas. Remember the Truth or Fact or crap game? And
that was one of the facts?
Yeah, it was like the Beatles originally were going to be called this, and then
oh, that's right.
It said the Quarrymen and something else. There was like 3 names that they had or something.
I forgot about that. Yeah. So in 1956, age 15, John formed a skiffle band. It's one of those folk rock jazz bands. And they were called the Quarrymen, named after the Quarry Bank High School.
Okay.
So he was already the leader and the front man and the dominant personality of the band. And that's where the future Beatles dynamic began. But he started the band in 56. On July 6th of 1957, one of the most consequential meetings in music history happened. John met Sir Paul McCartney at church. Paul was younger, technically better, and more disciplined. John faced a choice: protect his own ego or recognize Paul's talent. And he ended up choosing the talent for the band.
Game recognized game, like I said.
Yeah. So he ended up inviting Paul into the band, and it was really an act of humility for him and of survival because he wanted his band to be successful.
Yeah.
So he saw Paul's creativity and talent as a way to go forward.
Yeah, if what you're searching for is success, money, fame, or like at least to have like your albums known and to be able to tour and things like that, then yeah, sometimes you have to do what's going to get you there instead of what you want to do, because sometimes what you want to do or what your focus is isn't what's going to get you there. But I think what you were describing earlier is that that's where his downfall was. He was chasing fame instead of just making music for himself that reflected his true self, and he was just trying to get an album sold.
Those things would fill the voids.
The void, right. Having someone say, like, you did it, you won the award, you sold this many albums, you did it.
Yeah. And then when it didn't, he spiraled.
And then he let Paul in, who's just as much of a egomaniac musician as he was, and had his own things I'm sure he was seeking. And yeah.
Well, the partnership would balance John's chaos with Paul's structure and push both men to greatness. So John was 16 when he met Paul. So they were young. and
he said Paul was younger than him. So
yeah.
Paul was even younger than 16 when they met.
Yeah. So John later admitted it was either let Paul in or be left behind. And then a few years later, John met Cynthia Powell in college. She was quiet, artistic, and grounded, and he was attracted to that, and they began dating. And then, so that was, around 1960, and then John married her in 1962, just as the Beatles were beginning to explode overseas. So the Beatles' schedule ended up keeping John away long periods of a time. And then it was just like his father. It was, he was turning into his father.
Yeah.
Because she ended up having Julian, his first son, and he wasn't there. He just couldn't be. He was a Beatle.
Right.
So not only that, but not only the schedule kept him away, but the managers told him to keep the marriage secret from fans. And, Julian was born in 1963, and that's when 1964 came, is when he was on Ed Sullivan, and then they were nationwide.
Yeah.
So he really wasn't there for Julian at all. And his temper, and he was, unfaithful. That strained his marriage to Cynthia. And he actually admitted later that he could be cruel and dismissive, especially under pressure. And in 1968, Cynthia had gone to New York City, and when she came home, Yoko Ono was in their house. And that was the end. So, they lasted 6 years, which to Cynthia's credit was pretty darn good.
It's a long 6 years, I'm sure.
Of loneliness. She said she felt invisible.
I'm sure.
And she wasn't part of his career.
Especially if he wasn't supposed to. I'm sorry, I don't know why my throat's so not
it's
clear.
Probably
but
that sweater.
No, it has nothing to do with it. I
Okay.
promise. The sweater's fine. And it's the only thing keeping me warm right now.
Okay.
No, but anyways, especially if the managers were like, no, we don't want you to talk about being married. Like, keep that single image. It helps with the band. It helps with the girl craze. Like,
yes.
Then it's not like she's getting to, like, go to shows and be with him or be on his arm and go on Ed Sullivan together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's enjoying this entirely different life. Now, I'm sure that it afforded her some nice things, but...
It did. And she was financially set.
Yeah, but I'm sure that that's not what she cared the most about.
No. She loved him. Cool little fun fact. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which is a song I love, was inspired by a drawing made by Julian.
Aww.
I know, right? It's such a great song. It was a form of love of his son, but of course did little to make up for all the lost time that John, didn't. Yeah. He wasn't there. He wasn't there for any of the milestones. He just wasn't there. He was completely absent. John later said that he loved Julian, but was unable to be there for him in any kind of a meaningful way. And that he felt very guilty about that. Very guilty.
Sure. Dance monkey.
By the end of the 50s, the Quarrymen had evolved. George Harrison had joined the band, and the group hardened musically.
Can you see how cold it is down here? That, like, look how much steam is coming off the coffee, and it's not that hot.
And it feels warm to me.
Fucking crazy.
Sorry. John was still grieving his mother, fighting authority, and searching for belonging. But he found his tribe, he found a purpose, and he found a sound. And by 1960, the band would become the Beatles.
Yes.
So John Lennon,
legendary,
wounded, angry, brilliant boy from Liverpool, would step onto the world stage. So now let's talk about some little known facts about John Lennon.
It's so funny because when I think of John Lennon, I think immediately I think of the song Imagine. And, and I think of, like, the interviews that I've seen with him, and he's just, like, chill, hippie,
yes,
mild vibes. And then you're describing him as this, like, angry, guarded,
That was the Beatles era.
hopeless, you know, and it's felt like I'm having the hardest time seeing it. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't go in with what my idea in my head of him is at all. Like
That's post Yoko. You're seeing him post Yoko. What I'm describing is pre Yoko.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So John Lennon was almost legally deported after the Beatles were already legends. Most people know that he fought deportation, but few realize how close he came to losing. So this was in 72 until 75. He lived under constant threat of removal from the United States. He actually avoided touring because he feared leaving the country would mean not being allowed back in. And the stress contributed to major insomnia, anxiety, and paranoia.
Yeah, I can see that.
At one point, he told his friends he felt like a hunted animal in a gilded cage. And the pressure was what actually shaped his retreat from public life later on.
Why did they want to deport him?
So
I'm sure he was here on like a work visa or the equivalent of like.
yeah, he was becoming political, and Nixon was afraid that he was going to use his political
Oh, okay. Because he was 'cause
anti-war.
so it's the same as now as it was then. You know, when Taylor Swift came out and said like, I'm not quoting her verbatim, but it was basically like, "Fuck Trump, vote Dem," and they saw like a huge, amazing shift in voter registration and young people, and an uptick in the number of votes, and it like absolutely helped shape the election. I'm sure that like that's what you're describing. Like they were afraid that this guy who's not even fucking American, who is just throwing out his opinions about our country,
he was using his celebrity to have political
pull one way or another.
Yes.
Which is totally fine if it was whoever Nixon was getting paid by, or
right. If it was for Nixon's
with,
things,
it would have been cool. Yeah. And that's not to say it's the same. The Republicans and Democrats all alike. They all do that. They all only want the good publicity with none of the bad publicity, and they only want, they only want to kiss up to whoever's endorsing them.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't just Nixon. Everybody does that, but
right. That was just who it was at the time.
But I can see like why, or what I don't agree. I disagree, and I think it's pretty hypocritical to bring somebody into our country and allow them to work and tour here, and then, we always boast that like America, the home of the free, and then we're like, but you shut your mouth, you limey red coat, like what I mean?
Right.
We already defeated you once. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what they were trying to do. Get him the fuck out.
Yeah, and I can imagine that would cause a lot of stress.
Oh, it did. So, all right. Yeah. Next unknown fact. He actually secretly, for a lifelong, feared being killed. He privately worried about assassination as early as the 70s. He had discussed the deaths of JFK, Martin Luther King, and RFK. Who the hell is RFK? That's not striking a... Robert Kennedy?
Kennedy?
Okay, I'm not
Wasn't
familiar.
One of the other brothers?
Well, it had to be.
I thought it was a plane crash, though. I don't... Here, I'll look it up, because I'm not sure, and I don't want to misspeak.
Well, he was talking about their assassinations with friends, and he once remarked that public figures who talk too much don't live long. So, despite the fear, he actually refused bodyguards, and that was because he believed bodyguards created distance, and distance betrayed his ideals.
No, I get what he's saying, though. Like, I feel compelled to speak my mind, and like that's important, and to seem accessible to the people that I'm talking to. but I know it comes with a cost. And
That's what he thought.
I feel compelled, and I'm going to do what my heart tells me, but it's scary because
I'm probably going to pay a price.
I could absolutely pay a real price for that in one way or another, and it could be the ultimate price. Yeah.
And he did see himself as up there with...
Yes, it was assassination of Robert F. Kennedy.
Robert.
Related to Kennedy's murder. The assassination was one of four that murdered major political figures in the 1960s. How did RFK get brain worm? It's just bringing up other questions that people have asked.
That's weird.
Okay. So, yeah, so he was also assassinated.
Okay.
But, okay. So, but yeah, no, I'm sure, especially during that time, it seemed very scary, because of Martin Luther King and the Kennedys, and it did seem...
He was as popular as them.
Yeah, it did seem very realistic to think about, we have to worry what we say and what we do here because people are watching and it could affect our lives. People in my own town know that I'm doing this and they could watch it, and I could say something and it could get spread just viral, but just in my area, not global, but could cause hardships for me and my family in this area if I were to say the wrong thing or disagree with the majority. And that's just such a small scale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So small scale, I have to consider my children's safety, my safety, their emotional health. So yeah, and I do, even though this is just our pot, you know what I mean? But you do have to think about it. So for him on a much larger scale, knowing, having, a major news media talking to him or being on like Johnny Carson or something where the whole world's going to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, it does weigh on you unless you're just fucking oblivious.
Yep. Well, he actually believed he would die young. He sometimes expressed this fatalistic belief that he wouldn't live a long life. He'd either burn out or be taken early. And that belief also showed up in his lyrics and his impulsive honesty and his lack of long-term planning in his early adulthood. But it's one reason why in his contentment in 1980 feels really tragically brief. He was just finding himself and finding peace and contentment when he was taken. So it's too bad. But okay, another unknown fact was he was really terrified of being an absent father because he had already been one. And his guilt over Julian Lennon's, his absenteeism ran deep. And during Julian's childhood, he wasn't there. So he later admitted he'd been very self-absorbed and very careless with Julian. And this guilt drove his decision to stay home with Sean, who was his child with Yoko.
Okay.
That fueled, the guilt fueled some of his self-hatred, and it also made him overcorrect later in life. So where he was absent with Julian, he took 5 years off to just raise Sean from the moment he was born till he was 5. He wanted to be there for every milestone.
Yeah, he kind of flipped the switch there.
Yeah, he just did a complete 180.
180. Not a 360, because you just end up where you started.
So he once said, I was repeating my father's mistakes and I hated myself for it. So he's one of the ones that he could do a lot of self-introspection.
Yeah. And that can be really taxing. It can be really hard when you're someone who's self-critical and willing to look inward. It's exhausting. And then with that comes a lot of guilt and a lot of grief, which is why I think people have a hard time changing their minds once they've believed something for so long or been so outspoken about something for so long. Even if you present them with facts that contradict that, or they've been through something that should, create like a change in you. Like, okay, well, that's now that I know better, I'm going to do better, or I believe differently now. And I think that people have a hard time doing that because they're afraid of the bad feelings that come along with it as a part of like the guilt, the grief, the shame, like
the shame.
I believed in this and I followed it and I hurt people because of it. I hurt myself because of it. And if you just keep going on living the same way and just holding on with, white knuckling it, you can avoid the
shame,
the accountability, the shame, the grief, the guilt, and you can continue to just be like, well, I'm right and you're wrong in your own little, echo chamber headspace.
Yes, it is. And it's a terrible place to be.
Yeah. So for him to admit that, like, I was a shit dad to Julian was probably deeply hard to admit.
Because not only is he admitting it to his family and himself, but because who he is, he's admitting it to the entire world.
Yeah. You're on your little grief shame spiral is on stage for everyone to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then you feel all this pressure then to like, okay, well, I'm getting this second chance and now I have Sean and I'm not going to fuck this up this time. And then you, like I said, you flip the switch and you go overboard the other way and make sure that you're not missing a single thing and beating yourself up and questioning yourself. And
Yep. And can I just say for the record, when you are able to face the worst thing about yourself and be honest with yourself and those around you and your loved ones, it is freeing. You suddenly realize it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. It doesn't matter what strangers think. It matters what I think, and it matters what those who care about me think. To me, it matters what they think. But I can be a shit person and admit it and come out on the other side and work hard to change and feel proud of myself and rebuild relationships and feel proud of that. And whatever anybody else thinks of me is okay. If they think I'm a shitty person, okay, that's your opinion. And it's really freeing to just finally be honest with yourself and with those you love. And there's something very freeing about that.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And in that, even though there was some shame and some guilt and all these other feelings that you had to kind of confront and work through, there was also, it was different than before, because before you had this like, well, what if they think this about me? And what if this? And you were thinking that about 1,000 people around you, like the shame and the guilt of what if they knew this thing about me or said this thing about me. Mm-hmm. Now the only shame and guilt you're dealing with is just that of yourself. Just you feeling the way you do about yourself. Yes. And guess what? You can work through that. Yeah. You can talk with yourself. You could never do anything to change everybody else's opinion, but you can talk with your own self and work through yourself and work through your feelings and come out on the other side.
And you can rebuild a sense of self, a sense of self-esteem, in that when you know better, you do better. Yeah. If you are trying to do better. And, one of the things that I learned through counseling is that it's always best to look at yourself non-judgmentally and to look at others non-judgmentally and believe that everybody is doing the best that they can do at the present moment. So it may not be good enough, but it's the best they can do. And yours may not be good enough, but it's the best you can do. And that's where the whole progress, not perfection.
Well, that's where you change the intention. Because if someone's fucking up and you just believe that their initial intent was to not care and was to sabotage or to fuck up, obviously no one feels good about that. But if someone's not doing good, but you believe that their genuine intent was to do good and they're just falling short, but they're trying, doesn't that soften us? Like, doesn't that give us empathy and make us feel more at ease and more at peace about things?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. It does lie in intention.
Like when someone cuts you off in traffic, I always used to tell myself, or like zooms past me on the highway, I always used to tell myself, hey, maybe their wife's in labor.
Right. I do the same
Just
thing.
something that like,
Instead of angry.
being like, hey, fucking asshole, learn how to drive. And also reminding myself, Courtney, really, bitch? You've never cut anyone off before? You've never sped past anyone before? Like, why? Because you felt like where you were going was important and you had deadlines and you had to be there. So does this dude. Like,
yeah.
Same. So
I would say maybe they have diarrhea.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yes. When you change the intention of it, like they weren't personally trying to run you off the road and fuck up your whole day. When you change the intention, it's easier to say, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like John Lennon was on a path to looking inward and saying, I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of feeling out of control. I'm tired of feeling angry. I'm tired of feeling, failing people, failing myself. And no amount of money or superstardom can
absolutely
change.
It's not changing a thing.
Interpersonal
if anything,
relationships.
It's making worse.
Yeah.
It's ruining
absolutely.
everything.
Yeah. What's worse is when you have everything you want and you never actually worked on your insides, and that's still all just garbage.
Right. Exactly.
I think that it's odd, though, that he thought that he was going to die young. It's
I know.
Very ominous.
I know. Yeah, he talked about it. So, all right, next fun fact. He was dyslexic, which is not fun. And it was before dyslexia was widely recognized. Yeah. So he struggled academically, but not from lack of intelligence, but because he had undiagnosed dyslexia. And traditional schooling really frustrated and humiliated him.
Yeah.
So
it's very hard. It's like the most common learning disorder. But
right.
It's one of those things that they're kind of like autism and in these other things that are like more, that's why people think vaccines cause it now, is because everybody has it. Okay.
It's just that now we're looking for it.
It's just that now that we know what the signs are and we're like, oh yeah, like, let me tell you, like your fucking granddad probably had autism.
Right.
And everybody just thought he was really into coins, like, these things did always exist. There's not an uptick because it didn't exist before. It's because people weren't properly diagnosing before. And dyslexia has always existed. And those were the kids that were just called the dumb kids or the bad kids who weren't trying hard enough, that got sat in the corner with the fucking dunce cap and made to feel bad about themselves their whole lives.
Mm-hmm.
I just found out my friend Bob, I had breakfast with him this weekend. He said that he was 2 years away from retirement. So he's like 50 years old when he was diagnosed formally with, I think it's called dysgraphia. And it's like dyslexia, but it has to do with your writing. And you're constantly spelling things wrong and putting letters in the wrong order and like really struggling with writing.
Oh,
and
wow.
He is highly intelligent, very intelligent man, and very well spoken and well read. But his whole school career, everyone treated him like he was lazy. They were like, just write better. Mm-hmm. Like, why don't you just fucking get it? Like, spell the word right. You're so lazy. You're not putting in the time. And teachers and family like made him feel bad about it. And he had this kind of like low self-esteem because of it. And then at 50 or 52, he got this diagnosis. And He was like, I said, you probably felt a little,
relieved.
Yeah, like there's a certain word that I
validated.
Used. Validated was the word I used. Like, fucking knew I wasn't lazy. Like, I was working my ass off to do the shit work that I was doing.
Right.
I was trying so hard. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I did, but like it was eye-opening, and I realized like how many, like, oh, that's a symptom of it. Oh, like that meant this, and this is why this. And he was like, yeah, like it changed my whole world to know that everything I had been told about myself and,
Well, good.
you know, but yeah, so I'm sure back then, like John Lennon, you know, when he was in school, he didn't have fame. I'm sure he wasn't at the most prestigious school or something like that. He was just a normal kid.
Yeah.
I'm sure it went undiagnosed, and he was the dreamer and loved hanging out with his hippie mom. So I'm sure they were like, this kid's just slacking. He's a slacker.
Well, the dyslexia actually contributed to his preference for oral and musical expression over written rules.
Absolutely, I'm sure.
So it kind of shaped his, fueled his musical creativity, which is lucky for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was more auditory.
Yeah.
So, yeah, seriously. I wonder if people with dyslexia have a hard time reading music too, like sheet music.
Interesting.
I don't understand enough about it to know, but I'm just
no
wondering
idea.
if they have a hard time telling which line things are on, or I wonder if it transfers over into like anything like read, because I know it's not like letters and stuff like that, but it's similar to symbols. All letters are symbols that are placed in a certain order. So if it's I don't know, I'm gonna have to look into that now.
It's interesting, yeah.
Especially because you said he wasn't as technically proficient, which to me kind of sounds like he was kind of playing by ear and just like he had rhythm and he could like pick things apart and play it. But Paul was more technically proficient because Paul could probably read music and get the dynamics and the technicality of it.
Right.
I wonder.
It could be correlated.
Yeah.
All right, next fun fact. He loved housework and took pride in it. So,
Weirdo.
during his 5-year retreat, and that's from 1975 to 1980, that's when he left the music scene and stayed home and became a dad and a husband. He baked bread, he cooked the meals, he cleaned the apartment, and he took Sean to the park. And he jokingly called himself the house husband, which was, back then, you were a housewife.
Yes. Yeah.
He was very proud of it.
Especially for somebody who absolutely could have paid for a fucking nanny and a maid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the first role where he felt needed and grounded and irreplaceable.
Well, think of how satisfying it is to clean your home and to see a project through.
It is for me.
And to spend time with your kids, or you've been trying to teach them how to read and they're getting it, or you've been teaching about colors and they're getting it. Those things are deeply satisfying in a way that, getting a Grammy is satisfying. But and maybe he experienced this, I guess I don't know, but I'm sure that you can have like that, like the first time you step on stage and you win like the album of the year and that sense of pride and like everything you work for. It's gotta be the same as when like your kid shits on the toilet for the same, like the first time. You know what I mean? Like there's just certain things that you're like, I made that happen. Like,
yeah.
I made this human and then I taught them how to shit on a toilet. I made that album and it's the album of the year. It's got to be,
I'm sure it is.
Different, but same.
Yeah. Yeah, you take pride in your accomplishments.
And he's seeing like the full circle of like every area of success that you can find now.
This is the first time in his life where he was doing it himself. And he was being the father he didn't have. And he was being the person that he couldn't be when he was a Beatle. And he was learning about who he was and what he enjoyed, and he was really taking pride in those accomplishments. Like, oh, I can do this, and I can be this, and it's who I want to be.
And he was 35? 40. He was born in 40 during World War II, and this was 75. Was the age.
Yeah.
Was 35, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I think we've said this in other episodes. A lot of us don't really learn ourselves or like figure out like what the fuck it is that we're doing here until like after 28.
Yeah, you have to have
28 to 35 is when
you have to have
like,
that decade of mistakes and trial and error.
18 to 28 is when you like I'm an adult now. And we're just like not actually knowing what that fucking means at all.
Right.
And then 28 to 38 is like, oh.
Now I kind of know what I don't want to be, and I kind of know what I do want to be.
Yes. Yeah. I just now should actually be getting the keys because I did not need them when I was 18.
Yeah.
Not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's experiencing what a lot of us experience at that age, which is like, this is what it means to be an adult.
Yeah. The aha moment.
And I'm allowed to have certain things and want certain things and make my own choices. And
All right, next fun fact. He could be shockingly shy one-on-one. I can see that. To me, that's not shocking. I can see the shyness in him because it's a total oxymoron from this superstar. But one-on-one, I mean, I guess maybe as an artist, I can see where it's hard to have a one-on-one where it's easy to express yourself through performance.
Yeah, performance is very different than having, like, that's just, and not that it's not meaningful, but that's like chords you rehearsed, lyrics you rehearsed, and you're the musician on stage doing it with the band who's doing it at the same time. There's like a sense of blending, you know what I mean? But just having a conversation one-on-one is a little harder. You're finding your words in the moment, and
Yes.
You don't know what the other person's reaction is going to be.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that too. I mean, I know musicians that are up on stage singing and then like really shy and awkward when
definitely.
you talk to them, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, because that's how they express themselves.
Yeah.
Through performance. And when it's not performance, it's hard to express.
Yeah, there's like a persona that comes along.
Yeah, it's like an alter ego.
Yes, yeah.
While Lennon was often insecure in private conversations, he feared being boring or being rejected. And alcohol sometimes functioned as social armor for him. But his biting wit was often a defense mechanism, not confidence. So that's what people noticed, you know, that he had all this wit, but it was armor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next fun fact. He believed Yoko saved his life. And regardless of public opinion, because there is huge public opinion.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of Yoko haters out there. Lennon genuinely believed he would have died by drugs or despair without Yoko. He credited her with forcing him to confront his anger, helping him to detox, and giving him emotional structure. And this belief made him fiercely loyal to her.
Oh, God bless him, because listening to her sing makes me want to drink an entire bottle of something.
Sometimes to the point of isolation. He was loyal to her at the expense of other relationships, you know?
Yeah, it almost makes me wonder the way that whole thing went down is I see it being very black and white, and I might not be, but she either really was absolutely like his soulmate, and he did find it worth like giving up everything else to like have that true happiness and companionship in her, or she kind of had some sort of a fucking manipulative hold on him.
I don't feel it was that. I think...
Of course you wouldn't.
No.
I know.
I think... Well, go ahead and tell me why, because why?
I just think I think that she used his superstardom to boost her music career.
I'm not denying that.
Didn't deserve to be as known as it is, you know.
I'm not arguing that.
And he just seemed a little bit like,
I think
that's my wife and I have to support her.
She took advantage of his devotion to help boost her career.
Yes.
But that's not why she was with him. That's not the ultimate goal.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
I truly feel she loved him, she cared about him, and she knew a thing or two she understood about, okay, here's a guy had this hard life, became famous, beyond belief, and it didn't give him or cure any of the things that were wrong. And then he began drinking, drugging, womanizing. He was a mean guy. He was a bad dad, a bad husband, and he's destroying himself. And I think she recognized all of that.
Yeah.
And she was able to use whatever her culture had taught her about peace and how to be emotionally regulated.
Yeah.
And all of the things that he needed to be grounded.
How old was she?
I didn't look that up. I never looked that up.
Look that up right now.
Yeah, look it up.
Because I'm just wondering, how is it that she knew this? Because it seems
I just think it's culture.
It seems more opportunistic, because everybody loves a bad boy, and you just described all these bad boy things, and everybody wants to be the girl that comes along and tames the wild horse, right?
Okay.
And
yeah, I just think it was
I don't
her
know.
culture.
I'm speaking out of my ass because I don't know. I don't know anything about her. I don't know, but from the outside, just look at the first picture that popped up. Just her screaming into the fucking microphone. I can't. She was born in 1933, so she was 7 years older than him.
Okay.
So maybe she was wise. Maybe she was
It's just a culture thing. I really think it is.
Yeah, and she was just kind of like, you're killing yourself, and you're not happy. You have what are you doing?
And she did not. Well, we'll get into it. Since we're talking about it, let's just talk about it now. And then when I get to that point later,
we'll skip it out.
But there was what he called the long weekend.
Okay.
And it was a 2-year period from 73 to 75 that she left him. And she basically put her foot down and said, I'm not going to be with you if you're going to be this way. And he calls it the long weekend, and that's where he really got into drugs and was spiraling fast.
Out of control.
And he would have died.
That's what it was saying. Trying to look. They had dates listed. She was with Lennon from 69 to 80.
That's when he died in 80.
And then Sean
was born in 75.
He really looks like such a mix of both of them. That's crazy. Yeah, he was born in 75. Okay.
So in this period of time, he calls the long weekend. It was 2 years. She got him out of that. She got him detoxed. She got him on his feet. She got him away from the Beatlemania. And the veil was taken away. He saw the Matrix for what it was.
Well, I guess that does kind of make sense because he'd had the Beatles all that time, and he clearly wasn't fucking happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so where it always seemed to me like she came and manipulated him and then stripped him of, the Beatles and the life he'd been living, maybe that's exactly what he needed, because he needed to completely break away from it and find himself, or at least just find a moment's peace and kind of restart things, because he hadn't been happy.
Yeah, he was searching.
Obviously, if the Beatles and the fame and what it gave him and what it afforded him was going to do it, it would have done it, and it hadn't.
The life he was looking for, the meaning he was looking for, he found in her.
Yeah, and family.
It was that.
And home.
Yes. And it was that caused him to isolate, not because she was a manipulative person. He was enjoying it. And he was very much not a manipulative bull.
You're noticing it when I do it real now. You hadn't been noticing. Mom hadn't been noticing until very recently that every time that she just completely fucking butchers a word that I look over and laugh at the camera. And she just started noticing it. And now she's seeing when I do it in real time when I'm like.
It's cracking me up. She reminds me of Jim from The Office when they zoom in on him.
Do you always do those Jim looks? And I said, yep. I said, Mom, I literally used to do that at my actual office job where there was no camera and my boss would say something stupid and I would just look off at the wall and go, like, I just do it for myself at this point.
You'll notice on my last video, the episode before this, I'm zooming in on her face now when she does that because to me it's hilarious.
I'm like, yeah, I used to get like the first like 5 episodes, I was like razzing you and I'd be like, oh, you don't say, easy for you to say. But you can only say that so many times. And then she would get distracted and flustered because I made fun of her. So now I just don't say anything or try to overreact so that she keeps reading her script. But I just give y'all a look like, I know that's not how you say that word. But we're going to let Mom go. You're so funny, Mama.
I don't think, the point I'm trying to make is I don't think John was easily manipulated.
Yes.
I think he very much was his own person.
He wasn't manipulatable.
Manipulatable. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes. No, I get he wasn't a fool, but anybody can be manipulated, especially when they're at their lowest.
This is true.
And if he had been a fucking strung out drug addict, there isn't much more of a easier person to manipulate. And then she does get him clean, which does bring him clarity and probably a great deal of happiness, feeling better to be clean, you know.
I think so.
There does come, I'm sure that what came with that was loyalty, yes, but fear of maybe not temptation, but just falling back. Or not, maybe for a while, and maybe he did realize, maybe he didn't, I don't know. But for a while, I bet because it was such a drastic change, she just like kept him at home and said, like, you need to be here to be better. And he was. He didn't know exactly what it was maybe about touring or about being with the band or about doing the news or what it was that was hurting him or causing a disrupt or causing this need to do drugs or to find an escape. And so it's easier to just be like, well, I'm not going to do any of it because I know that I'm not doing the drugs and feeling like shit when I'm home with her baking bread. You know? And I think this happens with a lot of musicians where you kind of see them go off.
And he was.
For a while on their own and then they start touring again. And
yeah, he was planning to start touring again.
Yeah.
So there would have been a balance. Right now it was black and then white.
Yes.
And I think he was finally, after the 5 years of being the homemaker.
Yes.
The home husband.
Like, okay, we could use a little money and I kind of miss singing.
He was ready to tour and I think he was trying to figure out how I can manage it and balance.
How will I still feel peace? How will I still feel useful in my family? How will I make sure that they still know that they're first?
But he was excited about the album they were getting ready to release.
Yeah.
So he was planning a tour for that and he was ready. And I believe that he would have been successful in his endeavor of touring and maintaining his peace and his fatherhood and yeah. All right, next fun fact. He regretted some of his most famous statements. Did you ever hear the statement he made on I forget who was interviewing, but he said we're more popular than Jesus. And the world came down on him.
Did he I have heard it, but did he ever say, like, I thought it was, like, a funny thing to say, and then nobody...
Yeah, he said, I was just talking. I wasn't trying to start a war. So he regretted that because of the war it started. He hated hurting people unintentionally. And he really underestimated how literally people were going to take him. People really did. You know, he was just trying to say more people know about the Beatles than know about Jesus right now, you know?
Yeah, yes. And
we're
not
more
everything
popular than Jesus. He wasn't trying to say we're better than Jesus.
Yeah, not everything needs to be like so literal or so serious. Or like y'all can just laugh about things. It is hard. And he's not even a comedian. Like he was just a guy that was trying to talk. Like I feel like comedians deal with this a lot too. Like they're called jokes. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking joke.
Definitely.
The definition of it is that I don't mean it and that it is said with sarcasm or satire and it's supposed to be humorous and then you leave it. You go from it.
Yeah, and that was him. He was a joker.
Yeah, and he was witty, so he thought he was going to say this witty thing, and then people were like, how dare you? Like,
yes.
Jesus Christ already. Like, it wasn't that deep, guys. Like,
yeah,
I can see him being like, yeah, I regret saying that. It's not because I didn't mean it or it's not because it wasn't true, but just wish I hadn't said it. And I would have to deal with all the fucking flack from people who don't know how to take a fucking joke or...
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Next fun fact. His final creative plans were just beginning at the time of his death. He was planning more albums, discussing touring again, wanting to mentor younger artists. So probably producing them and, doing something new and creative with his talent.
Yeah.
And he also was talking about writing a book. He later told friends life was opening up again.
Okay.
And so the best-selling album was Double Fantasy. And that's the one that was released after his death that he had been working on.
Okay.
And why it holds the top slot. It was John Lennon's highest-selling solo album worldwide. Sales surged dramatically after his death in December of 1980. And in 81, it won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, which is pretty cool. But sales worldwide, 8 to 9 million copies. United States, 3 million copies. It went triple platinum in the U.S. And the key tracks were Starting Over, Woman, Watching the Wheels, and Beautiful Boy.
Woman. So
when you listen to that, you can tell that he's...
No, that's a beautiful song.
And
it's genuine. You can tell.
It's just genuine. And same with Jealous Guy.
Oh, Jealous Guy is such a good song.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And Watching the Wheels.
I do. I love that album. Like I said, people always want Backstreet Boys are in sync. Which are you? Dude, I love it. I love them all. I love Paul. I love John. I love the Beatles. I love each one of them. I have favorites from each one of them. I don't want to say that just because I love John Lennon that I can't love Paul too. And,
Yes, I can. I say that. I don't give a shit about Paul McCartney. I care about John Lennon. I like the Beatles music. I know Paul wrote some of it. I just think he's a shitty person.
He might very well be.
I don't think that he had any of what John had. I don't think he gave a shit about John. I think he was jealous of John. And
shots fired.
That makes him less likable, in my opinion. But no, I love like the Sgt. Pepper era. And I love a lot of Paul McCartney's songs. I love that song Junk. Do you know which one that is? Oh, you have to listen to the words sometime.
I'll have to look. I love Silly Love Song.
I do too. I like that.
I love that song. Yeah. But no, do I think that Paul was, and this is exactly why Maria and I she called me Paul and I called her John. And do I think Paul was the guy who was like, I know how to make an album that's going to sell on the radio, and that he was the guy that like manufactured a good pop song to good rock pop song to get out there and do the thing. I know how to sell my face and make it work. Yeah. And John was like, I'm a musician.
He was an artist.
I'm an artist. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
There's definitely a dual.
Is there a place for both? For me, yes. Because I'll tell you, I do love a song that was tailored to sound good on the radio. I'm a sucker for that. I do. I love a top 40.
This is personal for me. I like the music. I don't like the person that wrote it.
Yeah.
And that's where, like with the Michael Jackson thing, just because he wasn't proven to be a molester, I can still appreciate him as a person and a philanthropist. if he had been definitely proven to be a molester, I would have a different way of thinking about him, and it would be harder to listen to things that he wrote.
I'm sure his victims appreciate that.
Yeah. Prove it. Anyways, the album was a dialogue between John and Yoko Ono. It reflected their domestic life, their love, and in its renewal. The themes of peace, reflection, and hope made it very powerful, especially in that age. And it was heartbreaking after his murder to hear what he was, when people bought the album after
that's where my persona of him just being peaceful and kind of, and you can hear that there's a tormented guy inside, you know what I mean? But one that's working actively to be more peaceful and more easy.
Yeah.
It is sad. That when he was getting it, right when it was clicking, and
beautiful boy.
Yeah.
He just wrote that beautiful lullaby to Sean. It was beautiful.
Give Peace a Chance. Was that just John or was that the Beatles? I can't remember.
That was just John.
Okay.
That was during the Yoko.
Yeah. That's such a good song too.
I agree. Yeah, we'll talk about it. So how Double Fantasy compares to Imagine. Imagine came out in 1971, and it is arguably his most famous and culturally influential album.
Yeah.
Double Fantasy outsold it, but that was largely due to the timing and the global mourning that everybody had. Imagine is often called his greatest album. Double Fantasy is his best-selling.
Okay.
So let's get into who owns John Lennon's publishing. We kind of talked about it a little bit before. The short answer was right now it's primarily owned by Sony Music Publishing, and Yoko Ono Lennon controls his estate interests and approvals. So
the money that the royalties they get from Sony go to the estate, which she gets.
Exactly. Yes. So,
and the kids, I'm sure.
When the Beatles first broke out, John Lennon and Paul McCartney were young and inexperienced. They had a publisher named Dick James created this company called Northern Songs to hold the Lennon-McCartney catalog. And unfortunately, Dick James had the controlling interests. And Lennon and McCartney they were minority shareholders, so they didn't control their own songs.
And their own music, yes.
John called this the biggest mistake we ever made.
Yeah.
And what happened was in 1969, which was 6 years after they formed that publishing house, Northern Songs, Dick James sold his shares without telling Paul or John. And the catalog was sold to a company called ATV Music. John and Paul couldn't afford to buy it back, and that's when they lost complete control of most Beatles publishing. So that deeply embittered John for the rest of his life, as a matter of fact. I think this stuff is interesting. Do you?
Yes, because I think that it shapes, especially for like musicians or artists, like that's your fucking art. Like that's your
it's
mind
your baby.
On a page, and your
it's
heart,
like a child.
Your heart in the headphones, and it would be, yes, it's like a musical child, yes, and it would be like someone just coming to this thing that you created and made and being like, it's mine actually though, like what, and look at everything in recent years that's happened with Taylor Swift
and Prince,
all of her Taylor versions, just remaking all of her albums, and they said it was crazy and no one's going to rebuy the same fucking album. Yes, the fuck we will. And yes, the fuck we did. And, just a huge fuck you to the industry. Like, stop treating artists this way. And
exactly.
I can't
money
imagine.
grubbing.
Yeah, I can't imagine being like, you're the one that's making all the money off of my baby, like this thing that I made. Like it's not right, it's not fair. And John Lennon seems like me in that way, that like anytime you have to say something is not fair, it burns you up, because what even does fairness mean then? And what does this idea come from? And can it be rectified? Or is this a dumb first world narrative of fairness and justice? And like, it just gets all those, it's cyclical and it makes you nuts.
Oh,
I can
yes,
see him. I can
sure.
see it just burning you
Yes.
up every time you
think about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what John owned when he died in 80, he did not own the publishing to the Beatles songs that he co-wrote, or most of them anyways. But he did own his own solo songwriting publishing. So everything that he wrote after the Beatles, he owned the publishing to that.
Well, yeah, he'd learned a little something.
And then he also owned his share of royalties as a songwriter. He got the performance and the mechanical royalties after his death. All of John's publishing interests passed to Yoko Ono as executor of his estate. And then in 1985, which was 5 years after his death, is when Michael Jackson bought ATV Music. And that he ended up owning the publishing. And that was Paul McCartney was furious.
I bet that pissed people off. It would be one thing if you bought it and then you were like, you're one of them and you're like, hey, for a reasonable amount, do you want to have this?
Yeah,
you know,
no.
like you went to everybody like, I had the money to break them and I did, and now let's bust this up and spread it out and everybody's cool. And Michael Jackson was like, nope.
Yep, nope.
I just spent all that money buying it, and now I kind of need to keep it to replenish the money for my weird shopping obsessions.
Well, in 2016, it was Michael Jackson's estate. So I'm pretty sure his mother's the one that was in charge of his estate, because this was after his death, after Michael's death.
Yeah.
They sold its stake in Sony and ATV to Sony. So Sony became the sole owner, and that's Sony Music Publishing.
Everybody has just been trying to sell it to the highest bidder and not do the right thing. So.
Right. Well, Yoko Ono now controls the estate. She oversees the licensing approvals. She protects how songs are used in ads and films, etc. And she manages his solo catalog directly. And this is just a fun fact. U.S. copyright law allows songwriters to reclaim publishing after 56 years. That's a random number. But Paul has been successfully regaining his share of the U.S. published rights over the last few years. At each year that one, is
turns
released.
56, yeah.
Yeah, but so Yoko acts on his behalf of his estate for the eligible rights. So ownership is now split by territory and legal structure, but Sony remains the dominant publisher, in answer to that question. And that is our break for this session.
That is the end of episode 1.
End of episode 1. We haven't even got to the murder yet. We have 2 more episodes. We're going to be talking a lot about the man who murdered John. And we'll be talking about the murder itself, and it's all good stuff. It's juicy.
Yeah.
So tune in. So this one's released on Tuesday. So tune in Thursday and Saturday for parts 2 and parts 3. And I promise they're going to be good.
Yes.
And we really appreciate you hanging out this long. This was a longer episode. And if you could give us a like or subscribe, we really appreciate that, or leave a comment.
Like and subscribe.
Some of you, I wasn't old enough to really, when he was killed, it didn't hit me at the time. I was only 7. So it wasn't like that Michael Jackson moment when I found out he had died.
Yeah,
it hit my parents.
I was going to say.
It hit my mother. And I remember
her generation.
Her sadness and her seriousness about it. And she actually sat us down and told us about him and that he had died. And I knew of his music because of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And so I that's the only, I really didn't know about the Beatles because my mom didn't listen to the Beatles. She was strictly a John Lennon fan. But we did like the movie Sgt. Pepper's, so there's that.
Across the Universe came out when I was in high school, which is the musical movie where they feature all the songs of the Beatles within the plot of the movie. That was really popular, and there was a huge resurgence and like a generation looking up the Beatles again. And
but if you were around and it did strike you and you could remember what you were doing when you found out that John Lennon passed away or was murdered, leave us a comment about it. I'm curious to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wanted to tell you what junk was.
Oh, what's junk?
Okay, so the movie Jerry Maguire,
Okay.
they went out to dinner. She has the pretty black dress on.
Yes.
He's untying the back, or I mean,
Yes.
he's fiddling with it and it breaks and then he has to tie it. There's music playing and it's la-di-da, la-di-da.
Oh, I know that song.
La-di-da,
Never mind. I know that song.
da.
Yeah.
That's junk. Paul McCartney wrote that.
I do know. Okay. It just as soon
And
as
it
you
has the
yes.
cutest little lyrics.
Yeah.
And it's just a cute little song. So if you want to listen to that, once again, I like his creativity. I like his music. Don't like him.
Fuck you, Paul McCartney.
And that's a great way to end this episode.
All right, guys. We'll see you for 23.2 next time. Thanks for checking us out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.